G'day there and welcome to another Banjo help lesson where we're going to have a look at a tune today. It was brought out in 1963 and that's pretty modern for me. But it was a great tune, and the name of the band that brought it out was the Village Stompers, a young campus band from New York, and the name of the banjo player was Ralph Casale. And Ralph did a mighty fine job on this one, picking out the melody line and not going to a lot of drama, just keeping it nice and simple. And he played a bit of tremolo and a bit of single notes for about 16 to 18 bars, and then the rest of the jazz band came in. And this was great because it put the banjo up in the spotlight rather than being back in the rhythm section of the jazz band, and they plonked it right up front. So let's have a little listen to Washington Square. Well, I tried to keep the banjo playing pretty simple the way Ralph played that tune. I put a little bit more into it probably to bring out the full chords of the chorus. You shouldn't have too much trouble with this one. I'm going to put a lead sheet down for you at the finish of this video, and also I'll put a backing track down, the same one I used when I made this video. A lot of the melody notes run off chords anyway, so that most of the melody notes are part of the chord. You've only got a couple of incidental notes that come in, but as I say, most of them are part of the chord, and it shouldn't be too much drama for players to, get something out of Washington Square. You're probably thinking, what the hell's he doing with this golf club? Well, I thought I'd use the golf club to demonstrate something that I think is important in banjo playing. When it comes to tremolos and the lighter touch stuff in banjo playing, we've got to be relaxed. Our hands can't be full of tension. And if we can relax our hands, both of them, particularly your right one, I know I've discussed this before, but I'm going to bring a simile up with a golf club here. When we get taught to play golf, the golf pro tells you, he says, don't grip the club tight. Hold the club loose in your hands, loose as you can, and let the club do the work. But I'm afraid it's not as simple as that, because if you play golf and you're a mug like me, what you do, the subconscious mind comes in and you grip that club like there's no tomorrow. And of course when that happens, the club can't do its work, and we've lost it. And that ball's going to finish up in another zip code after we hit it off the tee. So, drawing a simile from golf to banjo, if we can relax, particularly this hand here, and take all the stress out of it, it frees us up and we can play softly. Anybody can play a banjo loud, but we can start and play it soft. And after we learn to play it softly, we can increase our volume, no worries at all. But to do that, of course, increasing volume means a little bit more grip on the plectrum. So in order to play banjo and get the stress out of it, the softer you can hold everything, the better it's going to become. And the softer you can play it, the better your hand's going to be free of tension. Let's have just a brief look at this tremolo that I use here. My way of doing it, as I say, it's not necessarily the only way, but with the way I do a tremolo, I have my fingers here on the right hand just resting on the head, and also moving on the head in line with the tremolo if they have to. They don't make any noise with the new type heads, that action there. And also this movement here is basically just from the wrist. You know, it's just pretty simple. A lot of banjo players tend to, if they're playing up here in the middle of nowhere, they can achieve it. It's very difficult for me to do, but some players are good enough to achieve it up there without any fulcrum here on the head. So another thing that'll happen too, if I'm not hitting that top string, I can also purchase these fingers here against that first string to give me more stability and work off as a fulcrum, so to speak, there. So I'll just play the first part of Washington Square, just a few bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. See the first finger? Because I'm not using that string, so it's up against that first string. Another thing, my pick is not that way, so to speak. It's on the angle there, with the blunt end of the pick actually doing the work. To me, that becomes easy because it takes the pointed plectrum away from getting caught up between the strings, unless you're a very good player. So I just tend to turn it around like that and play with that part of the pick. Now, just a brief look at the chorus now. When we're playing our tremolo with chords, I just tend to brush the chord and concentrate on the melody line. So I'm not going to do a full, job here while playing that melody line. I'm just going to notice one other thing. Sometimes in the plectrum movement, it's not always a downstroke. Sometimes you can start the tremolo with an upstroke to bring it in line with the timing of the tune. So there's instances, if you replayed that, what I just played there, where I'm actually starting the tremolo on an up stroke to keep it in time. So I hope that's taken some of the mystery out of tremoloing for you there with that brief lesson. Well, that just about wraps this lesson up. Just one thing in passing, when I do these lessons, of course, these are only my views on how I play a banjo, and that doesn't mean to say it's all gospel. There's a lot of players out there that use different techniques than I do and come up with probably better banjo playing. So these are only my ideas. Before I go, this is a banjo lent to me by my friend Gary Sherman, Banjo Hangout member Gary. And Gary owns a few Vegas, and this is a Vega Vox, and I believe this once was owned by the master himself, Buddy Watka. And it's a beautiful banjo. It's got beautiful resonance. I don't know whether you noticed that in that tune, but it's got wonderful sustain. Slightly different to my Vega to play, but a beautiful instrument, and thanks Gary for the loan of your banjo. In the backing track I used, this is another lovely instrument here, lent to me by a friend of mine, Ronnie, and this was made here in Wynnum, where I live, and it's made out of all things, a mango tree. And I tell you what, it's a great guitar, and it just shows what people can do making instruments. Well, I hope you enjoyed Washington Square. and you might get a bit of fun out of it. It's not such a hard tune. We might catch you next time. All the best.